Tuning in to the online broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Oh my goodness. Kevin Undergaro here for AfterBuzz TV Bar Rescue. And if you see the big smile on my face, it's because this one fired on all cylinders. An amazing episode of Bar Rescue. And I'm so grateful to have next to me Bar Rescue expert, Mia Mastriani.
Hi, Kevin.
Am I wrong?
It was so
Hey, by the way,
good.
what are we listening to right now? Steven, crank it! Crank it up, Steven. There we go. Okay, this is the song Satan, brought to you by God Bless America, as featured in tonight's episode of Bar Rescue. Wow, and you guys even, I heard you and Steven talking that, wondering if they existed. I totally knew they existed.
Oh, well, we were just kind of questioning because Stephen was like, "I'm sure people are going to think that was staged," and that's because people question that so much is staged on the show, which is so not the case. But I don't want to get into that quite yet. But we were questioning, is this a real band? So we just looked them up before we came in to tape, and they're a real band in Portland.
I had no need to look it up. I knew during the show I was going to say to Steven, find me them fast. And you guys instinctively knew that I would what?
Love them.
Yes.
They have such hits as Spread Scat Boogie Number 9, Kill for Weed, F the Homeless,
Yep.
Free Candy,
Yep.
and Satan.
Oh my goodness. Wow. I just like, she's the girlfriend of the lead singer dancing in front of the, let's go back in order, but I go back and forth on, when I see some of my freaks on this show where, yes, I know they need to be thrown out, reprimanded, etc., but I just want to give them a big hug. He just needed a big hug, the Viking guy from God Bless America. We got Ants with Wings, bro.
Ants with Wings, bro.
Right? Okay, so credit to once again, to Three Ball for the great title. Ants with Wings, bro. Perfect. As uttered by one of my favorites, Vic Vegas.
Love him.
Starting from the top, the fact that you bring in Lisa Marie, who's my second favorite. You're my favorite. And I do mean that. But you guys are the one nation for me. And I think having Lisa Marie was tailor-made for the Portland crowd.
Oh, absolutely.
As was Vic Vegas.
It was perfect.
And I love them together. I'm thinking, here's my all-star team. Here's my team one is you and Phil Wills, and team two is Vic and Lisa Marie.
Yeah, I totally see that.
Although, wait, I have to revise my team one because I need a kitchen person.
True.
I like Chef Nick.
Okay.
I like Chef Nick. Okay, all right. Anyway, we've got Tonic Lounge. Opened by Rod in 2012, who is a music lover because both his parents were in the music business.
Zero experience in the service and hospitality industry.
Yeah, that didn't seem apparent in the show, but they were saying that.
Yes, were we watching the same show,
No,
Kevin?
and again, this is why the show was so amazing because I've never seen anybody ever in the history of Bar Rescue. So, he was in a coma.
He was. That poor man.
That would drive me up a freaking
I'm gonna
wall.
start running AfterBuzz that way. I think it's genius. No, listen, I'm off one-eyed Mike for now, so that's what 4 minutes in. I just gave a Pirates
4.5.
reference. Okay, I want the lead singer of God Bless America to work here, and then I want to start adapting some of these policies.
Nervous laughter.
Yeah, because for me, I just like talk radio, right? So then that's all I need to be involved in here at AfterBuzz. I don't have to be involved in anything else. But he was amazing. Again, it's so much credit to this show. So many firsts. Just when you thought you'd seen it all.
This is true.
Right? We saw the cockroach bar, but that guy was a cockroach. He even looked like one. He looked like an insect. He was. No, he was. He was. And he had the personality of one. And I bet you anything since the place is closed, you're going to find out he's transformed into one.
Oh.
I think he's actually transitioned into an insect. We should, yeah. But beyond that, this guy, there was just nothing there.
No, there really wasn't. The lights were not on. No one was home.
I mean, he loved the music. Steven, did you see tonight's episode or no?
I saw the whole episode. It closed? I didn't see the final.
No, it didn't.
No.
I'm talking about the cockroach bar. You haven't done bar rescue with us enough.
Oh, okay, got it.
There's a bar that was filled with cockroaches, but the owner acted like a cockroach and looked like one. And I'm saying I heard that he was transitioning into a cockroach, he's like Caitlyn Jenner.
Okay, because for a second I thought you were talking about the chef in this episode. I was like, oh, that's me.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
No, but this guy, even though he had all the bugs around him, it just was nothing there.
No. And when
Except
they
he
walked
loved
into the
music,
kitchen,
but he loved music, and he was stubborn about his way.
Yes.
So we can't say he wasn't.
But he wasn't even in charge of the music. That was the thing. He had the entertainment manager and the production manager. So they were the ones that were scheduling the bands. They were the ones of taking care of
Tony
everything.
and Joe, like how lucky was he to have those guys?
Exactly. But he can't even say that he was in charge of doing the music because he had brought people in to do that for him.
$250,000 in debt, 6 months left.
Yep.
He thinks. Okay, so when we're doing recon and Lisa Marie and Vic Vegas are in the car, their reactions were
This was one
priceless.
of my favorite recons to watch. The facial expressions in that car made me really, really happy.
Well,
but they had so much to react to.
Yes.
Where do we begin? I mean, the place was empty. They bring in now. Portland has a very large indie music scene.
Okay, so let's talk Portland. By the way, the exterior of the place wasn't so bad. The bones of the bar weren't bad.
Right.
The look wasn't bad. It wasn't one of the ones that just looked terrible from the inside or outside. The bones were good, but the Portland scene. Have you been to Portland?
I have not, but I know of Portland.
Okay, have you been to Portland,
The
Stephen?
cocktail, the food
I
scene.
have not.
Okay, you guys should do yourselves a huge favor and never go to Portland.
I'm already on that.
It's like the Walking Dead of homeless. Like you literally it's streets and streets and streets. It's like fashionable to be homeless there.
Well, it's the home of the biggest drug culture in America, right?
Is it?
I mean,
It's the largest.
I don't know
the
if
largest
it's the biggest,
meth capital.
but
of
I know
the
the
United
meth
States.
is rampant, and they're forced to cater to the homeless. But it's not to me the typical homeless, someone who's mentally ill, someone who's destitute. It's a lifestyle. So you'll see guys like Steven. He's the actual prototype, but not with that outfit. Yeah, as usual, we called Steven.
Homeless chic?
But yeah, no, you would. That's what they all.
It's called hipster.
They're homeless, but yet they have iPhones and they have but the whole. I did a lot of work up there. We were producing Book Circle up there for a while. Book Circle Online is one of the things we do here, and it was like, wow, I don't ever want to come back here. And yes, the arts, of course, the comics are great, and the arts and the music and all that, but it does lend itself to this kind of dirty, grungy culture, which is why a bar would be in that kind of shape. And even a cook would think it was normal to have how many different kinds of bugs, you guys?
Oh.
We had several different.
I don't know how they cleaned that out in one night.
No, and it looked really clean after I was questioning whether or not there were more people involved than just the staff that we saw, because that was the change from the filth that it had been to the changeover to what the kitchen looked like.
It was amazing what they did. But going back beforehand to what it was. Oh my God! That's the worst we've ever seen. Well, the cockroach bar was bad, but what was bad about this is that we had it in the kitchen, but several different kind of insects, and they were everywhere. And in the food. And then
behind the bar.
The bar, even the episode that I did a bar rescue where I drank out of one of those bottles, I remember they were like
couple bugs.
4 or 5 bugs. This was
there was a colony in that bottle.
In all the bottles,
Yeah.
when she was spinning the bottles around. But again, I have to say that when you're up in Portland, be careful where you just people bottled beers, and I don't know, just go to a corporation, go to a McDonald's, go to something where it's going to have a higher set of standards. I'm sorry, I hate to be like that, but a lot of the places I went up there in that area, it's like just being dirty is cool.
Oh.
I mean, I have a question.
Sorry to say that.
When a bar finds out it's going to be on Bar Rescue, they put the cameras in to watch things. Do they encourage them to just to keep things the same as they were before? Because I feel like if I was going to have a bar on Bar Rescue, like the first thing I'd want to do is go and clean everything and make sure everything's...
No, that's not always the case. And the thing is, from my understanding, they scout a couple different bars in a particular city and area. And they don't know that they've been chosen until John walks in.
Okay.
And that is the moment where the cameras have been put in, but I think there's like the 1 and 2 choice where there may be more cameras somewhere else. So people have gotten used to the ideas of having cameras there. And yes, you would think that, if we're being considered, maybe we should step up our bar and clean the bar a little bit. But I think that...
What I was told, because this is a great question, Stephen, so I've asked it several times. And the answer that I got was that they're usually so incredibly lame. They
don't think they're doing anything wrong.
Yeah, and they're so deep in it at this point that it's
routine.
Right, and also that energy and strength and wherewithal to go and they just don't want to invest that. So I mean, which is a blessing. I think that I would, if I were producing the show, I would say to them, we're not coming near your place if you do. We took pictures of your place, we've accepted your application, and then I would say, if your place looks any different, we're out. I think that's what I would say, because this is the bar we want to renovate. We don't want to renovate now your goody two-shoes version, your sanitized version of the bar. We came here. So I think that's what I would say as a producer. I don't know what they're saying, but it's a great question. The reactions of Lisa and Vic were priceless.
Yes, they were so good.
They were horrified, but it's great.
And rightfully so.
Oh, yes. Well, we get the kitchen and the bar. Again, I'm just speechless about this episode.
It was baffling because that is absolute personification of neglect. To show up at your job day after day after day, and that poor little kitchen chef, I say that loosely, was working with bugs in the food, around the food, and he's like,
because people in Portland, I'm just saying, I'm going to be the bad guy here, but in that area.
But if that was in your home, you wouldn't eat it.
No, but they probably would. That's what I'm trying to say. But how do we know he wasn't friends with the ants, like Ant-Man? That's what I kept thinking, Stephen. There were so many different kinds of ants. There
were the flying ants.
You had flying, you had the little ones, you had the red
flies.
ants. It was.
Anthony, no.
The pizza hoagie didn't do it for you? No. You didn't want to eat it. You didn't look tasty. So, Steven, you saw the pizza hoagie.
I thought they described it perfectly by saying it was college dorm food.
No, it literally is. That's what you do, right? You can take a poor man's pizza by just toasting some bread. You put some tomato sauce on there, some cheese, and if you have like pepperoni, if you probably don't have pepperoni, some Spam, and just throw that in the toaster oven or in the oven or microwave it if you're lazy.
So, John, quick. Well, before we get into John's assessment, can we just another minute on God Bless America? So we see the guy in the Viking outfit walk in.
It wasn't just the Viking hat; it was the boa and the assless chaps that really did it for me.
Oh my goodness! And he was nice and svelte, and it just took me back to Bowie. It took me back to
totally Bowie.
Yeah, CBGB. I loved it. I was like, wow, this is a renaissance. And then everyone on stage the girlfriend of his girlfriend championing the cause.
The only lone soldier on the dance floor.
And to see the faces, and that's when John finally says, "Oh, that's it." I love when it's always the one, you always look in the recon for the one straw that just breaks his back.
Yep.
And we don't always get it, but when we get it and he snaps, like that was it. And when the guy, but by the way, by the time he got into the place, now the Viking is fully naked. Right? Or just by some G-string or whatever.
Yeah. And screaming. Just screaming.
Yeah, get him down. Shut this down. I'm not going to conduct business. So John gets him off, but what did the girlfriend say? I'm assuming that's the girlfriend.
A shot of her just looking dejected.
No, she said something like F the establishment or F authority.
Oh, yeah, screw the establishment. Or
something like that. Which, again, listen, God Bless America, I'm a fan. I agree with you. I agree. This is where I'm bad. Stephen, this is why John would kill me, because there's a side of me that's like, okay, we gotta fix the bar. But then it's like looking at bubbles. I just get lured away. Like, ooh, what's that?
Something shiny.
Yeah, I would be so.
It's like if you were in John's seat when they're like, we're gonna bring these people in to be your co-managers. It's like the girlfriend and the lead singer.
Oh, I would bring them right in. Can we get them involved somehow? Well,
Can she be a food runner?
Well, I just find that madness. The passion and the madness that some people have, I don't know. I find it amazing.
Okay.
I find it amazing. Okay. So in they storm, and that's where we get we've got ants with wings, bro. But they do clean all night, and they make the place immaculate.
That was evident. I mean, there was effort.
I was stunned by the stainless steel, right?
Because a lot of times they'll say, you've got to clean this up. And it's like a half-hearted attempt of just moving a dirty cloth around and being like, I clean.
Or they'll clean, or they will clean, but me, because I have more experience in the food end of the business, to get stainless steel like that's scrubbing. That's, good to get a good stainless steel brush or a pad. Somebody put in elbow grease, and it looked amazing, and I was super impressed when I saw that.
Just gonna guess that it wasn't Rod.
No. Well, I mean, yeah, probably not, man. The conclusion that John draws is that we need to have a great bar first, then good music. Then we'll cover all of our bases. But if it's just right now, just music, he was saying they have nights where they make $2. So have you ever bartended in one of those bars?
I have not.
Okay, I have.
I mean, I've worked in bars that have live music, but usually it's live music that goes with the venue. And
so I've worked in, the bar was TT the Bears, which I actually think it's a historic bar, but I actually think it closes this month in Boston.
Oh, no.
After like a 30-year run. I want to see if I can get home with Maria at some point, and just very nice owners. And at the time, I really needed the job. But there were nights where we would have the worst bands come in, and they would have no followings. And then sometimes you'd have horrible bands, but they would have all their friends from high school and college and family members, and it was fine. Even though music was terrible, we would do great behind the bar.
Yeah.
But there were nights where it was like, oh boy, we'd ring in nothing early in the week. In the weekends, we always crushed. So, and as John said, what, 60% of your revenues on the weekends? Is that, or is it 80? I forget the number. He said.
I don't.
Weeks before,
but you do.
But we always from Thursday
happens on Thursday through Saturday.
Thursday through Saturday, we always made our money. But it's tough when you just have it linked to that. Just So, Heather hasn't been paid in 8 weeks.
I think that was one of my favorite moments, because I love it when John has a morality standpoint where he's like, go and pay her now.
Now.
And then she's going to cash it in the morning, and we're going to find out, make sure that the check didn't bounce. I mean, that's a morality issue. I don't know anyone that would stay at a place and just be like, it's totally fine. You don't have to pay me.
Yeah, but that's different. You can't knock Heather. I've done it before. Maybe you can knock Heather, and then you can knock me too. But I've done it before. Here's why. I had a boss do this to me for a long time, and it gets to a point where when do you leave the poker table? So let's say she quits and doesn't put up with that. Okay, but you're never going to get your 8-week checks, ever. Guys like that don't pay. So then you say, well, if I hang in, I still get my tips, and he's going to eventually pay me. So that's why you can't really knock her for that. Then there's other things where it's like, these are my friends who work here. These are my, this is my, there's no other jobs. Like, at least I have this. If I walk out, I have nothing, So I get where she was coming from.
Okay, I see that.
Him, I did not get. And I love how John shut it just immediately. It was like, no, you're paying her now, and you'll cash those checks tomorrow. Interesting what again, just why John just always blows me away. I forgot that, how could I forget that, John ran the Troubadour. So he was like Black Flag, Fear, all these bands like that. Please make God Bless America look like the stupid idiots they are. He said, because I've been around that music, but that there's that music, but then there's that music that's produced well and done well. So I'm not foreign to it. So I always just like where he just lays it out to them, where you go, okay, it's not this old guy telling me about the music business.
Right.
Like, okay, you might know how to run TGI Fridays.
John has the experience to back it up.
Right. but at the Troubadour, Doug West's Troubadour, nonetheless. So I thought it was great that he reminded all of us, even myself. But in the staff meeting, you see Tony's passion. He's crying. He's like, please, like
That was sad.
He's like, I've never failed, which see, I'm an owner. I love someone like that. Like, unfortunately, Steven and Phil, they're like me. They fail a lot at everything they do. But like, if there were guys that we had around us, Steven, that never failed, how cool would that be? Yeah. Actually, Steven's too young to fail. He's like, what is failure?
I don't want to talk.
He's
I
too
might
young.
fail again.
Yeah, no, you're too young to fail. No, when you get to my age, you go look back. Oh yeah. But I thought it was really cool when he said that. That gets me excited. It's like, I've never failed. So okay, so clearly, this is a guy I want on my team, and he needs to get more power, not less.
Yes.
And it was interesting. Another no-no that this knucklehead owner Rod does to Joe is says, yeah, real smart coming from a sound guy. Did you remember the opening of the show?
Yes.
And it's just, guys, just a no-no, just knocking your workers down, not empowering them as you just hear me knock Steven, but we're doing this for comedy. I hope I don't do this off air. But that's just the worst thing to do.
Exactly.
It's like, so you have a sound guy who has the heart, who's thinking beyond the sound. He could just show up, turn those dials, and go home and get his check. And he's thinking more. And that's the greatest compliment somebody can pay you when you are an owner.
But that was like the issue with the signage out front, where they weren't even advertising the bands that they had
Not changing the
evening.
marquee.
And then having Joe bring it up to Rod and say, I've asked him before, he won't let me change the sign. And then they're like, well, why not? Why aren't you doing anything? And Rod just didn't have an answer for anything. And it was just because he didn't care.
You got to obey your liver. Yeah, come on.
Yeah, turn left.
Because that's such a great phrase. You want everybody to see that every night because that's hilarious.
But you know what, guys? You know what's sad? We'll get into Bar Rescue updates. Portland. Don't be just saying.
Okay.
I think it's still better to advertise your bands, but again, I'm going to get a lot of hate from my bashing in Portland.
I mean, in Portland, obey your liver could be a band.
Right, you're right.
Well, maybe.
I actually like that for a band name. But when you have these two guys who have passion beyond just booking bands and sound, those are great assets to use.
They wanted to be involved. And you could tell they had the heart, they had the drive, they had the ambition, and they were just being squashed with every idea they seemed to have wanted to present or had presented up to that point.
And Heather at the bar, same thing. I mean, even though, like John had said, her intention was right, but her execution wasn't.
Yes.
Like, so she didn't know how to make drinks.
Well, they didn't have a cocktail menu in place, but and as Lisa Marie pointed out during Recon, the time to get creative and come up with new ideas and play around with recipes is before you open. You do that work in your off time, but you don't make stuff up as you go along. She said, "Oh, I've never made this and I've never tried it, but I'm going to give it to you." That's not how. No, that's not how you make a cocktail.
But the heart and the positivity was there.
Yes.
And if she just
I enjoyed Heather.
An owner or manager that was present, you would see a difference. Again, it's like I always say, hire for heart, train for skill. There's tons of heart in this bar.
Oh, absolutely.
And an owner who was heartless, but I don't want to say heartless like he was mean and cruel, like heartless like he just had no drive, no ambition. I mean, just
he had no heart. He's the Tin Man.
He is the Tin Man. Did you guys may have DVR'd this, so you watched it quickly. Did you watch the Podbuster? That's the little piece that they'll put in between commercials.
Yes.
That just takes you back to Bar Rescue, and you saw it. So, Steven, did you see it?
No, I didn't.
Oh, it was great. So, Rod, it was just, again, so much credit I give to Three Ball and the producers for putting this pod in. Rod is talking to John, and John says, I know you from my convention. You went to my
nightclub and bar show
in Vegas that Mia does with John. It's the world's biggest nightclub and bar convention, and John hosts it annually, and it's gotten bigger and bigger every year. It's like the Comic-Con for bar and rescue people. It's crazy big. So this guy goes, and then John says, "But I noticed you didn't take."
Did you go to any seminars? Did you educate yourself? Did you talk to people? Did you network? No. I've never been to Vegas, so I just wanted to party.
Which I love! High five! I love that. Now I love him.
I think I just fell over on
No.
my couch in that moment because I was like, did he just say
Yes.
that?
Now I love him. Now we're back to the madness.
Yeah.
Me,
It was
him,
such
and
a
God
great
bless
moment.
America, and God bless America's chick. Let us run a bar.
But it's like these are the opportunities that John gives to the bars that he has been to and supports them and says,
Right.
invites them to come to the nightclub and bar show. And I met a lot of people there and that had been through bar rescue, not with my episodes. I mean, the two of the Irish sisters from that Philadelphia episode that I did, they were there. But I met a lot of bar rescue.
You met the guy you beat in the competition?
Oh yes, I did
You
see
will
Greg.
admit-
I did see Greg.
What was it again? You will admit. It's good for our viewers to hear this again, because they need to tell
I
people
needed
in
to
their
hear
lives.
that he respected me and that I was better than him.
Yeah, before we go any further, right, you need to admit that I am,
I deserve your respect,
and that I'm better than you.
and I'm better than you.
Yes, I love it. Okay. Then you saw that guy at the,
I
he even
did.
showed up, and he had a good attitude. And
We
he
had a
wanted to
great
learn.
attitude and went to all these seminars and this is 3 days of education and you can pick any topic that you want to explore within your bar and people would come up in the hallway just asking questions and want to talk about cocktail programs and even like what I would suggest in the kitchen and I'm like talk to Nick. I could give you my opinions from what I know from the show and from my personal experience working in bars and restaurants, but there's so many people seeking information for 3 whole days. And this guy's like, well, I'd never been to Vegas.
Yeah.
I wanted to go.
He wanted to go to
party."
Vegas. Good for him.
Come on.
Okay.
Be better.
So we go, we for the stress test, we come up with one signature drink. And Vic creates this delicious flatbread
That
pizza.
looked fantastic.
Right? Ridiculous. And then, it just in
And
typical.
I really enjoyed how he pointed out the fact, played the vegetarian beat. Like right now, I see it right now.
Yep.
Every night, there's food allergies now. There's peanut allergies, gluten-free, celiac disease. There's so many food restrictions. And in Portland, there's a lot of healthy, conscious eaters. And he explained that if you have one vegetarian in a group of 5 people dining, if you don't have an option for them, they will leave. So creating this flatbread pizza
Smart.
with pesto was ingenious.
It was genius. And again, always speaking to the bar science, by adding salt, right? What happens, Mia?
You get thirsty.
You get thirsty. You want to drink more. So
Sure do.
That was very nice. I also love that on the marquee they put up stress test.
I noted that too. It was
That was
really
cool.
quick. And
So talking about the stress test, let's talk about the bar. Lisa Marie was, she was rough.
she had to be though. That was a full crowd. People were not expecting that volume. They're not used to it. I mean, we saw what happened when God Bless America was in there. They had 2 recon spies and the lead singer's girlfriend. I mean, that seems to be their pace. But oh, God bless her. She was on them and just pushing for them to just go faster and execute properly. And they just couldn't keep up. They couldn't execute. And those were very simple built drinks, like build in the glass, just a few ingredients. It should be very quick to execute. And it's a smart menu for a venue that does high volume. Just build in a glass and go. You can crank those out. And she was like, no, go, 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 go. And she was the best
And she was
cheerleader
yelling.
back there. And
I don't think she was cheerleader.
Then she went down the line and was dumping everything and taking all the
Like
drinks
I
off
said,
the
I think a
bar.
little bit more aggressive approach than yours, because you get stern, but you're more the stern
I'm a bit more passive
teacher.
aggressive.
No, I don't think so. No, I think you're more, you just, between your height, you're more the General Washington. You come in and you're, if you know your history, more calm, not emotional. And she has a different way, but she was emo.
Oh, yeah.
The closest I saw you to being emo was with that one guy that we referenced. But I give Heather credit for hanging in and not
yes.
reacting and not snapping.
But at one point, she had to go leave the bar to take care of the ginger ale situation because apparently they switched out the boxes of syrup themselves. But Lisa Marie, one of my favorite shots of her was her just hanging behind the bar. She
Yeah.
said, "There's no bartender
No
back
bartender.
here. There's no bartender."
And during that time, that's when he goes to meet with them, the owner.
Yeah, that's a good
This
transition.
was my
I mean,
favorite part.
the kitchen did okay. Just a raw hamburger, but they seemed like they did pretty good out of the kitchen.
They
Other
did,
than-
but okay, so 2 things. My very favorite moment in this entire episode, and there was so much to love about it, but my favorite moment was during stress test when John pulled Rod aside and was like, okay, so your staff is failing now. What can you do? And he just stood there. And John gave him a list of suggestions. Can you go help out your bartenders?
Nope.
Can you go ice glasses?
Nope.
He didn't ice
He didn't even get
glasses.
that, yeah.
Can you put ice in a glass for them?
Can you do anything?
I feel like I'd be in the way. He had an excuse for everything and just was useless and just stood there with John. And John just finally turns and goes, well, you got to do something.
Okay, so can we say, is this the worst leader on Bar Rescue we've ever seen? Because at least some of the other leaders stood for something.
He's up there.
I think he might be the well.
I'm going through the Rolodex of 4 seasons in my mind.
Well, we have worst in terms of worst people, mean, and all that other stuff. But I mean worst in terms of just leadership. This could have been the worst.
He could be. There was just nothing.
Nothing there.
Nothing.
I mean, John, honestly, he just kept asking him questions.
It's a great moment.
And there's nothing. But, before we continue, I got to tell you guys, I have a question for you.
Yes, Stephen.
Does driving matter to you?
Actually, matters to me, not so much to Mia.
Well, there's over 4 million miles of road in the U.S. to find out, and that's a lot of ground to cover. A lot of highways, freeways, wrong ways, and long ways. They're all there, waiting to be driven on. So you take that left turn at Albuquerque or just keep going. Do you wake up early Sunday morning for a drive before the traffic does, or do you take the long, winding road home for a change? If driving matters to you, just get out there and drive. Why? Because driving matters. Mazda.
Very nice.
Driving
Steven,
does matter.
Well done. It does matter. And you know what? I could handle having a nice new Mazda.
Yeah.
Absolutely. His banter back and forth. I was looking for it to be creative editing. It wasn't. No, this guy there was nothing there.
Yeah.
Nothing.
And it was brilliant.
I wrote here slowest owner ever? Question mark.
Question mark? And the other thing you just mentioned the kitchen. You saying they executed fairly well.
It's okay.
But there was the sent back raw burger.
The raw burger.
And one of the best
The line I
lines
know you're gonna love. Go and say it.
of the night came from Vic Vegas. I could get a glass of milk out of this thing.
Awesome.
Cry laughing.
He's such a great John disciple.
Yeah.
Because he knows how. It's like when I watch Catch a Contractor, Skip, who I really like, with Adam, I feel like he's trying to fire himself up to be angry in situations. But Vic is like John. He naturally just boom. He just on a dime. He just goes there.
It's fantastic. And here's the thing. He's got that really tough exterior. He's got all the tattoos. But his technique is so on point.
Yes.
And he knows his stuff.
He can back it up. That's right.
And so when he gets a little harsh and starts getting in there, it's like, I'm the biggest Vic Vegas supporter. I'm like, yeah,
huge,
get in there.
I say I'm surprised we haven't used him more. He's amazing. And again, we already talked about my favorites. The owner, Rod, can't even shut the bar down.
Oh.
That's it. Shut it down.
How do I do that? How do you want me
Another
to do
bar rescue first.
And it's like, have you never seen the show? Come on, Rod.
Couldn't shut it down.
And then, so how do you think you should shut it down? I guess I should tell the bartenders to go and do last call.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe
that
you
might
should.
work. Yeah,
Maybe
pretty
you
good
should.
idea. Yeah. So
Special guy.
we have a quick meeting, and basically it's like, you guys are awesome, you suck, Ron. And the next day, John has to have what is not on every show, but the Taffer sit down is when he has the sit down with them. It's just okay. You know, when he has this moment on the show,
Yes.
where he's like, all right, listen.
Well, that's where you get to the root of
Yeah.
the problem, and that's where the things come out. And sometimes there's man tears, and sometimes there's some emotion, and the underlying thing. Because as we say time and time again, the problems are usually not related to the bar or the business. A lot of times we see relationship issues, or we see family issues, or a drinking problem, or something like that.
People problem.
This was just an owner that had such an intense lack of leadership. That was the
He liked music.
blinding problem.
He just liked music.
He did like music.
Again, it's just another one. He could have the basement bar,
Yes.
but a jukebox. He wouldn't be able to do live bands in his basement. I don't
No,
think.
he'd
Unless we
just do-
soundproof. No, maybe we could soundproof his basement.
Yeah.
He could have done it there. But anyway, fortunately, because of Bar Rescue, I think we'll get to the renovation. I think he's got a nice little place here. But tell me what you thought about the sit down and what went down. Take us through.
So John sits down with all three. Well, first with Rod and just sees a general lack of understanding.
there's just- yep.
And as we had seen building up to this whole sit down, that there's just nothing there. So he brings in Joe and Tony, who are the two guys that are in charge of the production and the booking the bands, and brings them in. And this is where the heart is. This is where you see the enthusiasm and the passion and the drive. Two guys that want to make a career of this, and they think that this could be a successful location. I think it was Joe that said this could be like $100,000 location if we book good bands and if we're known for good cocktails and food. Portland does have a good cocktail scene and a great food scene that backs up the independent music.
I'm being mean-spirited for the people like Steven I saw up there. But.
It seemed like such a natural and a very easy transition for John to be able to turn to Rod and say, so can we make these guys managers? And he had been backed into such a corner, but not even, because he didn't want this bar. He wasn't fighting for his bar. He wasn't fighting to step up and lead this bar. I think he was kind of relieved that the pressure was taken off, and he's like, okay, these guys they have some wherewithal, they have some experience, and they have some understanding of what needs to happen here. And they also have the drive to make it work and to carry through.
And thank goodness he didn't have the defect that most of the owners have, where he's like, okay. Whereas, this is where usually the total failures will say, oh, no, I'm in charge.
Yeah, that's where the ego comes in.
Yeah, and he let it go.
This is mine.
No, he let it go. We get the rock and roll drink menu. Lisa Marie kills it with some of those cocktails. I thought that was really smart, really amazing.
Great tie-in.
And then I love how we're seeing more John with the hat when he's working. And to see him setting up the lighting and stuff for a rock and roll bar was just cool. I was like, oh, something good's coming. And then sure enough, we have the reveal and we find Panic Room. What are your thoughts?
I loved it. I think this bar had totally been missing the mark in all areas, but he kept. What I enjoyed about it was that a lot of times, we do make changes to fit the demographic of the area. The demographic was already kind of working. It's just no one knew about this place. No one was going, and their bands were awful, so they weren't getting a crowd. But a place like this, when they did the before and after, it was such a stark, glaring difference. That this was like a clean, welcoming, comfortable place. It wasn't too off-putting. It wasn't too upscale, but it was just soft. And then the focus was this stage with the lighting and the tiers that they had put in.
The trellises.
Yes.
I love the name. I thought that Panic Room is great because it just says so much. And it almost reminded me of Spirits on Bourbon, where it could be done well enough where this could be franchised. Like, that's what it felt like to me. I love the stainless steel. In fact, we're doing a renovation now for our studios, and I keep trying to figure out how to get a stainless steel component in because I love it so much. And I love the way John made it. Like he said, masculine, rock and roll. Not a comfort place, a place for rock and roll. And then did you see all the clocks on the wall?
Yeah.
It was so cool. And so much is lighting. So much. We talk about it every week, but so much of anything, any business, even any feature, any artwork, any house is lighting. Dinner party, lighting, but especially at a bar. And the bar was lit very well, but then the concert area or the band area
was fantastic.
Beautiful.
And the way that they tied in the televisions.
By the way, Steven, check this company out. And I want to give them a little plug into not getting any money out of them, but Cinema Online. Cinema Online. Basically, they make it so what's seen on stage now will be seen on all the flat panels. And
that's so cool.
And I want to get in touch with them too for if you find them, because there's stuff I want to do in our studios. It's a great technology. Also love John Taffer on stage.
Yeah.
Doing doing the intro. Just another bar rescue first. He does and he turns it over. My work is done, but he gave it to us there rather than the usual exterior shot.
Yeah.
And then we're up 20%
in 6 weeks.
And so to me it was one of the best episodes I've seen. I thought it was one of the best renovations we've seen. And then I went over to bar rescue updates. Did you guys go over there?
I have
not seen it.
Okay, there's not much. There's a lot of likes on the Panic Room Facebook page. There's not a lot of reviews on Panic Room. But they dug a little bit, and there was a little bit of a backlash from the people in Portland.
Really?
Mm-hmm. There was
By who? No one was going to that bar.
Well, I think the few people that do go, that did go, and we see this a lot, they're usually the loudest. But if you go to barrescueupdates.com, you can read the rebuttal that Joe wrote. He wrote this really amazing rebuttal saying, hey, no one likes change, but change is a good thing. And we're doing X, Y, and Z. Be patient with us. Don't take this so hard. It was just a very nice way of standing behind what John did, standing behind what they did, and kind of trying to ease the transition. And again, it's not like there's some giant outcry, but people are. So so in the bar business, when the regulars hate when you change anything.
Absolutely.
Like your regulars at Soho don't care, I'm sure.
Oh, they do. Get very attached to menu items, and our menu changes frequently. It changes
so
seasonally,
menu.
And they get very attached.
All right, okay, so I'm talking more. Menu, I get that, but I'm talking more about
ambiance as well. We just reconfigured the dining room, moved some tables. There was an outcry about that.
Okay, you're right. But
Here's
that's restaurant. That's restaurant.
Here's an example.
But that's restaurant.
We redo our studios.
Yeah.
We redo our studios here. And if you remember Studio A, if you look at AfterBuzz TV, Studio A, about 6 months back, looked a lot different. It had a big rectangular diamond table that the hosts were like, yeah, I get to see across each other. People were holding on to that. They didn't like the fact that we were changing it, but when to explain the reasons, the problem is when you have these people who come in and then they just suddenly get all tiffed and angry, you can't really explain the reasons for the change and make them understand. They're just angry, and they go to Yelp and they go to all these places and they just bash it.
Right. Because people
couch critics.
Yeah, they get. But again, my thing on this is that when you're dealing with bar people, and the bars I'm talking about, it's alcoholics, it's lonely people, it's people, and so alcohol is a depressant, and they're more wired to complaining and being negative. So they're going to be the first. So we see this in Bar Rescue a lot. I always, when I go to the updates, it's always the regulars. It used to be amazing. All the cockroaches crawling all over my body, becoming my friends, drinking with them. Now it's I know, but but you see that, but it's those few people, but they're loud and verbal. Because the people going and enjoying themselves aren't going to feel that need to type in online.
So take it with a grain of salt. It'll make you thirsty.
I thought it was great. Here's the one thing I'm getting very sensitive to, because Tonic had. There was some complaints on the sign. Oh my goodness! And then somebody, you'll see on Bar Rescue Updates, somebody vandalized the sign and changed from panic room to penis room.
Oh my God!
So, the one note I have is where Tonic was a neon sign. Neon signs are custom made. They're very expensive to make, and you can't make them on short notice. So it actually made me even more sensitive to the fact that you guys do these turnarounds on 4 days, and you might not have the name. John said he literally hits the ground running. He doesn't study a week before.
Oh, no. I see it happen. And there's so many. The name is usually one of the last decisions that's made.
And that's, so sign-wise, that's hard. So that's why sometimes you might just see what we call a light box, which is, I'm guessing, by the way, but a light box and just a sheet of painted acrylic rather than a neon sign or whatever. And that's hard. But I don't know any way that you could. I mean, if anyone could do it, it's John, but I don't know how you can make a neon sign that quickly. But I'm noticing that some of the signs are very basic on the show, and I'm thinking that's probably why.
Probably.
I know there's also legal issues we're having with the new building I'm working on right now. The city there's a certain code we have to live up to. Anyway, so final thoughts on this episode?
I thought it was great. I loved it.
Ants with wings, bro.
Ants with wings, bro. Okay, and I think
there's so many gifts.
God bless America. Great gift. This owner. I have a funny feeling. Next time you're in Vegas for the convention, I think you're going to see this guy again.
I'd like to think so.
You will. No, you will. You will. Because he'll be recognized by people, and he'll be there. And then we'll have to do a follow up. And the bones are there for this thing to succeed. I don't know. So let's hope it does. Did anyone see for next week? Do we all miss it?
It's a back to the bar.
Oh, that's right. It's
back to the bar. They're going back to Spirits on Bourbon.
Okay, so that's a winning one. Are we going back to some losing ones, I hope?
That's the only one that I for sure know about because I saw that in the they showed the chair in the advertisement.
Nice. Yeah, that's a good one. But yeah, let's hope we. Well, yeah, there's a couple.
I love the Back to the Bar shows.
I love them, but I
seeing
want to
the
go
updates and and how they're following through or not going
right. So
not
maybe there's a
following
balance.
Through.
We can have a couple that succeeded and then a couple that fails. Anyway, yeah, I'm dying to find out.
I love them.
All right, where do we find you, Mia?
You can find me on Instagram, TallMia, and Twitter at @tall_Mia.
At Undergaro. Stephen, where do I find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Stephen Lemieux and The Strain After Show.
Okay, you guys, you know what? We're gonna give you a special treat. We're going out with "God Bless America."
Yes.
Is this Satan? What is this?
This is God Bless America.
Nice.
Self-titled.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
See you later.
God bless America.
Views expressed herein are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.